All right, everybody, this is our speaker tonight, so give him your full attention.
Well, first I want to say thank you for the invitation, and we've been trying for several months to be able to arrange this. I think we had it scheduled, and I had to go down, and we did our walkthrough down at the Pavilion 2 building, which is where the clinic is going to be held that night, and so I really needed to be down there, and can't be in two places at once, especially that far apart, so I had to cancel. But I appreciate the invitation, and glad to be here. Just a real quick show of hands, has anybody been to a KMON project? Okay, good. I was hoping not, because one of the things, and secondly, I know you're planning to be there.
Yep.
You are. Anyone else planning to come to Wichita? Okay. So 3 of you, okay. Okay. Well, I hope tonight I'll convince you to come to Wichita. Well, let me tell you a little bit about who I am and what my background is. I have been with the Kansas Dental Association since 1999. I'm an attorney. I graduated from Washington Law in '99, and actually began working at the KDA right before I graduated. So kind of the last couple of months, I was going to class for a couple of hours and then going to work for a couple of hours and back and forth. And so I've been there since the end of March of 1999. Early 2000s, we began talking about the idea of creating a not-for-profit, and so we kind of put the framework in place for what became the Kansas Dental Charitable Foundation, which is kind of the umbrella organization for the Kansas Mission and Mercy Project. So I'm kind of here both, representing the KDA and the KDCF, but I'm going to talk primarily about the KMON project and maybe a little bit about some funding opportunities that might exist if you do go on to dental school. The Kansas Dental Association is the membership organization of dentists around the states. We have about 1,200 members, about 70% or so of licensed dentists around the states. We represent a fair number of dentists. There's around the state. There's several of them here in town that are KDA members. Jared and Jared Jones and his brother are both members, and then there's several more. So we do things like lobby on their behalf. We're membership organizations, so a lot of things we do, like communications and obviously dues and those kinds of things are a big part of what we do. I do a lot of our social media communications for our association, and you're a big follower and retweeter of what we do. I appreciate you doing that and sharing what we're doing and what we're all about. The idea of the foundation, as I said, began in about 2001, and we set that up. And shortly thereafter, we had a couple of dentists, one from Wichita and one from Garden City, who had heard about this project in Virginia called the Virginia Mission of Mercy. And essentially what they did is they brought dentists, and they actually do this project also with other types of providers, eye doctors and some medical type doctors there to provide kind of just general health preventive care. And the idea was that they bring everybody, the providers, into a central location, open it up as a free clinic, and then the people who needed care would come to that facility. The clinic in Virginia was actually at an airplane hangar, and it was probably set up in a neighborhood of about 40 to 50 dental chairs. Patients would come in, they would be screened, find out what their needs were, and then they would be routed to whether they needed, just general hygiene services, whether they needed dental fillings, whether they needed extractions, and they would do this. So they go out there, they see this great project taking place, and they bring it back to us in 2002 and said, we really want to do this project in Kansas. So we at the KDA began traveling around the state, talking to our districts around the state. We have 10 what we call component districts, basically geographic areas of the state, and they have an annual meeting. And so we went out and talked to them, and we made this really. We actually have pulled it up now. It's a pretty cheesy PowerPoint, but it was 10 years ago, so we thought it was pretty good. Went around and talked to different components around the state and convinced them that this was a project that would be very beneficial to both the people that we serve, but it would also be a way in which dentists could be charitable and do something good as an organization. And so on February 28th, 2003, we began our very first Kansas Mission Mercy project in Garden City. There were only 4 people in that building out of a couple hundred volunteers who had ever done one of these. When we showed up, there was about 8 inches of snow already on the ground, and there was about another 6 to 8 inches falling that morning as we began the clinic. We had, I can't remember the number of volunteers we had in terms of dentists, but in 2.5 days we provided roughly 1,500 patients with about $600,000 in free dental care. The experience was amazing. We had already planned to take the project and continue it on. We had spent probably $30,000 to $40,000 kind of buying some equipment, the chairs, lights, and units that we use. And essentially, I'll back up a second. Essentially what we did is we went into a building about the size of a football field, completely empty, set up at that point probably a 60-chair dental clinic, and then had dentists, I would say probably at that point 60 to 70 dentists, 100 dental assistants, 40 dental hygienists came and volunteered for 2.5 days. They gave their care completely, no charge to the patients. Again, the services are cleanings, fillings, and extractions that we did. So we went from there in about 14 inches of snow when it was all said and done, and we went to Kansas City, and we went to the Kansas Speedway, and we held our clinics inside the 2 pit garages at the Speedway. So keep in mind, wintertime, 14 inches of snow. We now moved to Kansas City in August. It's about 112 degrees. There's no air conditioning, and we've got these giant fans. The doors are open. We've got tents. We're just doing everything we can to keep cool and also deliver the care. In 2.5 days in Kansas City, we treated about 2,500 patients with free dental care, and the value of the services was about $800,000. We continued to grow. We went to Pittsburgh that next May. Originally, the idea was that we were going to do 2 projects a year. After we did that for 1.5 years, we realized it was going to be very, very difficult for us to continue that. Each of the projects we do will cost about $120,000 to $140,000. So we have to go out. We've got to raise the money to do that. We need somewhere in the ballpark of about 1,000 volunteers. We already have, I checked earlier, about 1,100 that are signed up to volunteer for this project in Wichita. So to give you an idea of just how many people are involved in the project. And that now includes, we're up to about 125 dentists, probably close to 160 dental assistants, roughly 100 dental hygienists. Now we have dental hygiene students, dental assisting students, some dental students, and now we're starting to see a lot more pre-dental students that are coming in just to kind of get experience in that kind of charity work. So it also includes probably 300 to 400 community volunteers. They come out and do everything from serving meals. We provide free food, both to the patients. Many of them will arrive the night before, camp out overnight for dental care. It's not uncommon that when we arrive on Thursday for a setup day, it probably takes a good 8 to 10 hours to set the clinic up, from empty room to fully functional dental clinic. It's not uncommon that patients are there before we arrive, and that's pretty amazing to see. When you show up to set up and there's already patients there. Generally, they'll continue to arrive throughout the day. And by the time we leave the night, to go back to the hotel for, a pretty short night, there's oftentimes, 100 or so patients that are already waiting in line for the dental care that they're going to receive the next day. So we went from Pittsburgh in April of 2004. We then decided we're going to do these once a year instead of once every 6 months. So we went to, hi there.
Hey, Bailey.
We went to Salina in 2005, to Wichita in 2006, to the exact same venue that we're at now. In Salina, we actually surpassed the $1 million mark in care that we provided at a single clinic, and it was pretty amazing to finally hit that number. We've been so close for a couple of years. And then we were in Topeka in 2007, and I don't know if you remember seeing that. We were at the Expo Center, and we treated, I'm trying to remember the exact number, but we were right around 1,800 patients and right at $1 million. We went back to Garden City, the same place we were, the very first one in 2008. 2009, we went to Manhattan to the National Guard Armory. In 2010, we went down to Independence. Independence is a small town. It's actually the town I grew up in. Town of about 10,000 people. So we initially thought we were going to scale it back, and wound up not scaling it back at all. Treated the same number of patients that we had. We went from there to Hutchinson in 2011, to Kansas City in 2012, and then we'll be in Wichita March 1st and 2nd of this year. To date, we have treated about 21,000 patients. The dental care we provided of about $13 million. And we've had, I think I saw today, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 6,000 volunteers that have played a role in one project or the other. So that's kind of a little bit about what we do. Do you have any questions so far on the services we provide or how we do it?
The requirements to be treated, like, what?
There are none.
So I can walk in with my iPhone and get treated?
You can. We provide care to any patient that it's first come, first served. Okay, so there's not any appointments that we make. We know that there are patients that are there that very well may be able to afford care. And that doesn't, to us, we're kind of the belief that if it's important enough to you to arrive at 2 o'clock in the morning, most likely be there until 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that's pretty important to you. If you're willing to do that, we're going to do what we can to treat you. Because there may be, and having an iPhone is, people got to have phones and talk, and we understand that. If people have home phones anymore, so we don't do any kind of brief qualifications. You don't have to show us your income level. You don't have to prove you don't have any insurance. You don't have to prove that you're from Kansas. We'll treat anybody that comes in. Initially, what the patients will do is we'll go through a screening. We'll have dentists look in the mouth and find out what they need to have done. And then we will take care of the most urgent needs that we can. And then as we're able to take care of those additional things. It's not uncommon that we do multi-tooth extractions. But we do that. We do fillings, and there's dental hygiene, and now there's kind of an education component to that. So there's no pre-qualifying or anything like that. Okay. Something that's kind of interesting that's happened as a result of what we've done. Probably about 5-6 years ago, it happened around the time we were in Wichita and Topeka. As I said, we kind of got the idea from Virginia. Texas was doing a similar project. And what we did is there was some interest from Nebraska, interest from Colorado of seeing what this is all about. And so a few dentists came over and volunteered our project. And they took the idea back to their states. And soon after that, Nebraska had their first model project. Arkansas had their first mom project. And those of us in Kansas went up there to Nebraska, went to Arkansas, and kind of worked with them on their first project. Colorado said they wanted to do one. Iowa said they wanted to do one. And all of a sudden, we now have this, 5, 6 states around that were doing these projects. And we had some equipment. Nebraska had some equipment. And we were kind of shuffling it all over the place. And more states had interest in doing one. And Connecticut decided they wanted to do one, so we shipped everything out to Connecticut. Had to have it back the next week here. We thought this is becoming very, it's pretty tough to manage all that stuff going different directions, making sure it gets where it needs to go, and making sure the trucks are insured, and all those different things. And so there was a group of people, 1 or 2 people from each of those states, who decided, well, what we need to do is form a national organization to really provide the equipment for all those projects. And the exciting outgrowth of that was what's called the America's Dentist Care Foundation, or America's Moms is what they've kind of become known as. But they came back and bought all the equipment that we had. They bought the equipment that Nebraska had. They have now since gone out and gotten grants to buy new trucks and new equipment, and they have retrofitted all this equipment that we had. Originally, it was designed to be able to, particularly the units, to be able to put on your back in kind of a very remote area, take up a mountain or something like that, to be able to provide care in a very remote area. It wasn't really designed for the way we were using it with, 70 different units all working together. And so AMOM actually went to the company that made the equipment and said, let's work to change this a little bit. And so now all the units are all part of one system. All the water is contained. There used to be individual units with individual bottles. So you had a clean water bottle and a dirty water bottle. You have to come fill up the water bottles and empty out the dirty one. And there always had to be somebody to do that. And now they're all work together. There's one giant vacuum pump that's in the back that just keeps everything flowing through, and it's a pretty amazing operation to see, that many dental units all working together. So that's been, now they're up to somewhere around the neighborhood of 25, 30 projects that they're going to be doing this year and next, and there's more coming on board. We have, I'm guessing probably 5 different states that are coming in. Some people from Missouri are coming over to take a look at it. I know there's some from Georgia, Indiana, Maryland maybe, who are coming to take a look at a project. We kind of take some of those ideas back and share the project with them. Talk a little bit about the funding. As I said, it costs about $140,000 to put on. All the funding that we get for the project is all privately raised. We don't get any state funding for the project. We have a lot of statewide funders, particularly this one. Delta Dental Foundation is one of our big funders. They provided about $40,000 for this project. They've been an active supporter really since about Pittsburgh, working with us. Assurant, which is an insurance company in Kansas City, has been an ongoing supporter of ours for probably 5 or 6 projects. The Kansas Health Foundation is providing about $16,000 for the event. The Wichita Central County Rural Health Coalition is providing funding for it. So there's several different organizations that have partnered with us or providing funding for the project. AmeriGroup Foundation is a $10,000 donor. So right now we're in the neighborhood of about $115,000, $120,000 that we've raised for this project. So we're doing very, very well and getting very, very close to our fundraising goal. So it's, that's always one of the challenging things when we go to community to say we want to do this project. This is what it's going to really require that we're able to raise. And oftentimes we tell the community that we kind of expect them to raise somewhere in the neighborhood of $25,000 to $50,000 locally, and we work really closely with them to make that happen. Now, in terms of what you guys will do that are coming, as I said, we have dental hygiene students, dental assisting students. Many of them will work in areas like sterilization, as well as general volunteers. One thing we don't do, whether it's dental students, usually a third-year student at UMKC just about to graduate, we require that be licensed dentist to be able to provide the care. Early on, we were allowing dental students to work, and the good intention was there, but it just was taking, they're not able to work quite as fast, and so we said you can be there, you can help. You might have somebody that you're going to be working with after you graduate. You want to come and want to work with them, great, but the dentistry is going to be done by the same thing with dental hygiene. They can be there assisting, but only dental hygienists are going to be doing the dental hygiene work. So probably a lot of what you guys are going to do is it will probably be more along the general volunteer type things. Every patient on the clinic floor has what we call an escort. So once they walk in the door, they're triaged. They have somebody with them until they exit. So you're going to be with them, you're going to work with them, help them with the paperwork, you're going to get them to the chair, or to the next section. Oftentimes it's kind of a waiting area, and then you may go back, you work with patients from triage to where they need to go, and then someone else will pick that patient up from their waiting area to get them to the area that they're going to be. So if they're getting extractions, they're going to take them from the extractions waiting area into numbing. And so it's an amazing process to see all these different areas interacting, but a patient will always have somebody with them at all times. As I said, we provide food, and so we got to have runners all over the place, helping deliver food both for the patients particularly, and then just as things that are needed throughout the clinic. But it is a great experience just to see the way the dentists and hygienists and all the providers are working with the patients, and being able to see kind of that charitable side of what dentists and the dental profession does. Questions?
What kind of specialties do you have at KMOM?
Primarily, the main one we have are oral surgeons. We do some very, very limited accounts. It's not something that, it's more along the lines of we get them in there, we need to have that done. We're able to do it. But oral surgery is the main one. We probably will have somewhere in the ballpark of 20 or so oral surgeons that'll be there. They have their own department. Most of the chairs we have are portable. The chairs we have for oral surgery are real dental chairs that we have. They've been donated from offices and things like that. And so they're able. The work that they do is obviously a lot more. Requires there's a lot more detail than what they're doing in just the general fillings and those kinds of things. But we do have another area set up for general dentists who may have a one tooth that needs to be extracted. If they're able to take them and work them in, and maybe do 1 or 2 tooth extractions in general. But primarily the big oral surgery cases are only being handled through the oral surgery department. And it's very amazing to see that. I don't even go in there. It's like almost like an ER type setting. It's everybody's in there with their scrubs, and it's very intense in there. And what I primarily do is go around with video cameras and pictures, and interview patients and volunteers, and that's just not conducive to it's a very confined space with each dentist in there has 3 or 4 assistants that they're working with, and it's like I said, it's pretty intense.
Is there a limit to how much work can be done on a patient?
There's not. Again, what we try and do, it's always a balance in terms of what can we do to provide the best and the most care of a particular patient, but at the same time saying we can't do everything this patient needs because we got another patient behind him that needs treatment. So what we try to do is find out what is the one thing that they need to have done. Is it an extraction of a couple of teeth here, or is it a filling over here? What is the most important thing that we can do? For many patients that we have, they haven't been to the dentist for years. And so we may find that they need multiple extractions of those teeth, and that's what we do. The question is always asked about dentures. We're trying to work with an organization that has found a way in which they can develop full mouth dentures and do multiple ones in a single day. Where we just don't in 2 days. We're just not able to do that. The most expensive part of getting the denture is getting the teeth extracted, and so we're able to do that. Oftentimes we have some resources that are available, and whether it's through a local clinic has agreed to work with us on it. That's always something that we always struggle with is how do we best provide that care? But in many cases, it's those teeth are rotted out. They need to come out, and taking care of that is the most important thing we can do. We have, on many occasions, extracted more than 20 teeth on a patient. That's not uncommon. But we also have patients who come in and have, they just need cleaning and they're on their way. We've seen some pretty amazing things. I remember in Kansas City, like I said, we were there in the summer. There was a lady that was there who had braces put on when she was in high school. And it had been, I think, 25 years later, and she still had, braces on. Obviously the wires weren't there, and so we were able to take those off. We do have the ability to do, a partial or, a single tooth, to repair that. If we have a patient that comes in without a front tooth, to fix those kinds of things. Because we do have a lab there that we work with. And so they'll come in, get the work done, and then get fitted, and then they'll come back the next day and get that place. And so that's always a real nice story to see that happen. But one of the stories I always enjoy telling, we were in Garden City, our very first project, and I had gotten a call. I was taking pictures, and so I said, "Hey, come over here, let me take a picture of this patient. He's 103 years old." So I went over and was taking this picture, and I can't remember what he had done. But at that point in time, we now have different colored name tags, name badges, but that's how we have ribbons. And like a blue ribbon was dentist, and green ribbon was hygiene, and yellow ribbon was dental assistant. Well, this guy had on like a rainbow ribbon, and it was what we use for translators. And that's another area that we have. So if you're able to speak Spanish or another language, we do have a need for translators there. And so that may be something that if you have that skill, you might be able to help us that way. And particularly, actually, in Wichita, one of the needs we have is the Mennonite population, Low German. So we'll see a lot of Mennonite families that'll come in, and so that's always kind of unique there in Garden City. We have Vietnamese interpreters as well as Spanish. So, but anyway, so I was taking some pictures of that man. And it was kind of funny. His granddaughter came and picked him up, and she was, I think, 65 years old. Came and picked him up when he was done. But anyway, as I was taking this picture, I got a call. Hey, you need to come over here. We're getting ready to place his denture. And early on, we did do some dentures. They were kind of pre-selected cases. And so I got called over to take a picture of this mom who was getting fitted for a denture. And I'm going to say she was maybe 32 years old. That's kind of where I would ballpark. But a pretty rough life. She had 2 daughters, probably the ages of 12 and 10. And as the dentist was, working to get the denture placed, and just the last little adjustments. Come to find out that the two daughters there had never seen her mother smile. So they're 12 years old, 10 years old. They'd never seen her mother smile. And so we get it placed, and they hand her a mirror. And of course, the daughters are. I mean, they just have tears, strewn down. We all did, quite frankly. And so they, get that placed. She puts the mirror up, and this is 10 years ago. It didn't have a very good camera. It was just an old, actually a Sony that had the little laser or the little bitty discs in there. And the lighting was really bad. But took the picture of her, looking in the mirror and smiling for the first time and seeing her teeth. And it's in the morning on Saturday, and so the light's coming into the back, and it's a really bad picture. But from my standpoint, it's one of the most memorable pictures I've ever taken. But there has been countless stories of what has been done to help out families, moms like this woman, kids who have gone a long time. There was Kansas City, a little girl who had, I think she was in middle school, had one of her front teeth knocked out, and she was just so embarrassed to go to school without that tooth, and so we were able to repair that, and we could just see as she left just how happy she was. You see patients come in, and that they're there from midnight the night before. They're laughing, they're smiling, they're excited about the fact that they're able to get the care that they need. They'll go in, and there's a guy in Hutchinson I remember, and we talked to him over the course of the day. He was very nervous. We interviewed him, and he went into oral surgery and came out, and he had like 16 extractions or something. He came out, and he had the biggest smile on his face. He's got, gauze in his mouth, and he is just, he sees me as he comes out. He's just, how many of us would smile, be happy after something like that? We wouldn't be. And, the gratitude of the patients, and when they come and they give you a hug and those kinds of things, it's really, really incredible to see. So I hope you get an opportunity to experience some of that in the project and see that, because, we talk a lot about the numbers and what the dentists do, and the amount of dollars in care, and all those those big kind of macro type things, but to really be able to see on the micro level the patients that we treat and the impact that it has on their life, and then they follow that up with letters back to us, posts on Facebook now of what we've been able to do to help. That just makes it a pretty awesome thing to see. And, that's why every year as we get down to the last couple of weeks, it's working on weekends, working late at night, and answering emails, at 5 o'clock in the morning or whatever. And they're at the clinic, getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, being there at 3:30, being on your feet all day, but being able to see the guy walking out with a smile on his face, or knowing that we were able to help somebody. That's what it's all about, and that's what it's so rewarding. It gets me excited every year about doing it. So.
We're excited.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Well, like I said, those of you who, I think you've hopefully have heard about it, and seen some of the things in the videos that we put out and those kinds of things. And so I hope you do get a chance to enjoy it and see it. So one of the things I kind of shift gears here a little bit. I want to learn a little bit about each of you, kind of where you're from, and what your future plans are, if if you've already lined up the dental school that you're going to, or what you hope to do after you graduate from dental school, if you're that far along in the process, because there's some things that we're developing. As a matter of fact, earlier, last week, we had a press conference in which we unveiled the first 2 recipients of what we call the KIND initiative, which is the Kansas Initiative for New Dentists. So it's a loan repayment program that we have, really working with dental students that upon graduation we're able to get them placed in kind of underserved areas around the state, particularly some rural areas. And so there may be some opportunities that exist for you as you make your way through dental school. So why don't we start with you and kind of tell me where you're from and where you are in this process.
Okay, I'm from Hammond Hayes.
Okay.
And I'm a junior
Okay.
here at Fort Hayes. And I'd like to go to AT still.
Okay.
Or the new school in Florida.
Okay.
Predental.
Okay.
And then I'd like to come back somewhere
in
around
Kansas.
Hayes.
Okay. And we hope that's the case. Okay.
I'm originally from Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
But I did graduate from High here.
Okay.
If you have sense.
Okay.
I've worked up 2 good relationships with dentists who are getting ready to retire here in the near future. So I'd like to come back and take over one of their practices.
Great.
And I plan to apply to 5 of the local dental schools, except in Colorado. I heard they're not very receptive to out-of-staters.
Okay.
Hopefully Kansas will get one soon, but it's not going to be in time for me to apply to it because I'm applying this summer. So fingers crossed on that.
All right. And you?
I'm from Garden City.
Okay.
I'm a sophomore here, and I'm not sure which dental school I want to go to, but I want to be a pediatric dentist.
Okay.
And probably go back to Garden City and help kids out.
Great. Yeah, they got some great programs out there. So were you able to volunteer or see
my mom,
project?
she works at the Mexican American Dental Clinic.
We've done a lot of work with them. Did you weren't at the K-Moms we did in Garden City, but do you remember hearing about them? And
yeah, I remember my mom bringing us T-shirts and how she was there, and she's planning on going to Wichita too.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Okay. Very cool.
I'm from Wichita.
Okay.
I haven't decided on which dental schools I'm applying to yet because I'm still visiting each of them before I decide. And I think afterward, I'm interested in orthodontics, but afterwards, I'd like to stay in Western Kansas. I don't like Wichita where I'm from, so I'd like to stay in Western Kansas.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
My name is Brittany. I'm a senior at Fort Hayes. I'm also applying this summer. Fingers crossed and praying as well. So, I have decided upon a couple of dental schools that I want to apply to, and I'm not too big of a city person anyway. So, but I'm not sure, but I'm sure that in dental school I'll decide where I want to go.
Okay.
I'm Cody. I'm from Colorado Springs, and I'm a freshman this year. And dental school, I've looked mostly into Denver just because I'm from Colorado, but I also heard that Lincoln. So I'm looking at that too.
Okay.
I have overshadowed a DDS a couple times that my mom works with, and then also an oral surgeon.
Okay.
And I actually lined up to finish up with a surgeon for my braces as a sterile technician.
Okay, great.
I'm Amara Logan. I am from Las Vegas area.
Okay.
I've done quite a bit of disaster relief work internationally in different countries. So I'd like to stay in dental school, which I plan on, in general dentistry and in Kansas, and then be able to work with organizations, especially locally, but also all the country.
Okay. Well, one of the right after Wichita was shortly after Hurricane Katrina, and we did a project down in New Orleans. It was February the next year, and so we went down there and helped with that project, and it was recent enough after Katrina where we still saw the effects, and what I likened it to was in Topeka, it's want to make a road, but I mean every big city has that that corridor that's just your Best Buys and your Lowe's and your Home Depots, and it's just box store after box store. And we're driving down this road like that, and of course every single one of those buildings was closed, except for the Home Depot. And the Home Depot had 10-foot chain link barbed wire fences all the way around them, with security guards, police cars manning the entrance of it. It was open, but they had very high security on that building. But it was just, think about, your house and, it being destroyed and the house next to it. And just everywhere you drove into the lower ninth ward was just house after house after house after house, block after block, mile after mile of just being completely destroyed. So it was an amazing thing to see. And, it was just, a few months afterwards. It was soon enough that, driving down the interstate, there were still boats and stuff in the median, still to be cleaned up, just. So, yeah, so it was one of the, really, it's kind of neat things like that to see all this. But I went down and helped Arkansas in their first project. And then, we've obviously been, we get calls all the time from different states that are wanting to, how do we do this, or, what do we do if we come see a project. And so it's always kind of neat to see, something that kind of grew out of, really the model that all these other states are using grew out of what we started in Garden City. What we do is one, very large clinic, once a year. What Virginia and Texas would do were much smaller, 20, 30 chair clinics a couple of times a year. Not, doesn't have the same, the magnitude of the project is different, so the planning, those kinds of things are a lot different. So we've been a model that we kind of started in Garden City, so it's grown, really spread nationally. And like I said, 30, 35 states are either doing the project or looking at doing one in the future.
We were kind of trying to figure out a way to let people know, because I know that you give out T-shirts and we're all going to kind of blend in, but how do different organizations let people know, hey, this is the Fort Hays State University Predental Club? What kind of accessories do they usually go with?
Well, what's kind of fun, we do have T-shirts. Every volunteer will get a T-shirt. They're different each year. They're always designed by somebody locally, the logos and those kinds of things. Which is always kind of cool to see how rather than us in Topeka trying to do it, how they the local communities describe themselves, and so that's always one of the fun things to see with the T-shirts. But dental offices oftentimes they'll design their own T-shirt with their their logo of their dental practice, those kinds of things. Many times, matching scrubs. You always have the purple K-State scrubs and the blue KU scrubs, and we've got some Pittsburgh State grads that always wear their scrubs, and so you always kind of see the different colleges, different so that's kind of the way you do it. So if you had a Fort Hays yellow shirt and
wearing it right now.
Yep, there you go.
Made up flow.
There you go. Perfect.
But during the day, we'll probably wear our shirts that we get, right?
You don't have to. I mean, you can. You're welcome to. But you want to kind of stand out.
That's a creative idea.
Yeah, we do.
I'm trying to remember the shirts for the general volunteers are going to be green. The shirts for those that there's kind of an organizational structure which is kind of neat. Each of the departments, whether it's sterilization or hygiene or the dentist, the general dentist or whatever, all have kind of what we call a department head, and they're able to answer questions, kind of lead the project, and so they're going to have on I think orange shirts. And so if you have a question at any point in time, look for somebody in an orange shirt. They should know what's going on in all the departments or who to direct you to. So that's one way. The other thing is we uploaded yesterday or the day before. First time we've ever done this, orientation videos. And so just last week I went down to Wichita and filmed basically a hygienist, a sterilization, a couple of general dentists, and then the general volunteer coordinator who kind of walks you through as to what you should expect to see once you get there. And so we have those on our Facebook page and on our website. If you want to check those out, look at the videos that's been produced for the past couple of years, and see what we've done and kind of some of the stories that we share in those. But it's pretty cool to say, just the size of it. We're going to walk in on Thursday morning. It's going to be a giant empty floor. By the time we walk out of there Thursday night, it's going to be completely transformed into about 100-chair dental clinic. And then patients are going to start arriving, and it's chaos, but it's very, very nice chaos. Everybody knows what their roles are. And like I said, if you ever have a question of what needs to be done or what you can do, look for somebody in the orange shirts, and they'll direct you on where to go, what to do, and hope you have a great experience.
I think I remember seeing this, but when we registered, they were going to be sending out packets of all the information. When can we expect to see those?
I'm hoping you're going to get those in your email tomorrow.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I was just getting ready to walk out the door this afternoon. Lady for office said, I got the parking passes and the calendar of events and all this stuff ready for you. Do you want it down? I said, no. Walk out the door. Get it tomorrow. So we'll get that reformatted for an email and get that out. So one last thing, if you put two and two together, if you've seen what we've been talking about lately, as I said earlier on, February 28, 2003, the first patient walked through our door. Coincidentally, February 28, 2013, 10-year anniversary of setup day in Wichita. And so we're going to be actually all together on what is the 10-year anniversary of the project. And so, if you look at our logo, it's, celebrating 10 years. We're going to have a celebration on that Thursday night. I haven't got it all put together yet, but we're hoping cake and those kinds of things to celebrate the 10 years of what we've been able to accomplish. And I'm heading back to Wichita on Friday to film the two dentists who came up with the idea originally, and put together a video for them. So we'll get that out on YouTube as well. We're going to try and show that here at the clinic on Thursday night. And then Friday night, something we've never done before. Usually we have the next venue lined up, and word's kind of already out that we're going to be in such and such place. We've got 2014 lined up. Matter of fact, tomorrow at 1 o'clock, I got to be back in Topeka because a lady from that town is going to be in Topeka, and we're going to be looking at logo designs, and they've done some video promotions, and we're going to unveil the site of 2014 actually Friday night at the clinic. And so we're hoping that the mayor of that town will be there, and all these different things we're going to have in place to kick off the 2014 project and just roll right into the next year.
Awesome.
So, is it just randomly each city, each year?
Random, no. What we try and do, and this is always, it's a great question, and it's one that unfortunately doesn't have an easy answer. Obviously, we have to have a place big enough, square footage wise, to be able to hold the clinic. We probably need something in the neighborhood of 75,000 square feet plus, which eliminates a lot of places. We also have to have the availability of a venue. One of the things we found is that for us, dentists have CE programs that they go to, they have meetings that they go to. We have events over the course of the year, whether it's our annual meeting, the ADA has their annual meeting. There's a lot of dental events that go on in the profession that we kind of have to work around. And so we try and schedule, so that's why most of our projects have been in the first part of the year. They've always been in, January, February, or March. A few have times in April, maybe, in May one year. But they're always in that first part of the year because we have other events on the KDA side that we have to work around. Now with, 30 other states, also scheduling events, we kind of have to work, with them. Luckily, they have the ability to go to more than one place at the same time, so they can send a truck to, somewhere east and then somewhere west, and be able to have two projects going on at the same time. We still have to kind of work around those. So venues one. We also want to spread around the state. So, we're in Wichita. We obviously, we were just in Hutchinson. So, you can rule out, that central Kansas for 2014 just because we've been there, so many times in the last couple of years. We're obviously just in Kansas City. So we try and move it around the state, try and cover every geographic area that we can. And you're saying, why haven't you been to Hayes? Which is obviously a place we'd love the opportunity to go to. We just have not been able to find the venue to do it. We actually were looking at potentially being at it here in 2009, and we looked at the arena basketball court. It's very difficult to do it in a facility like that. We were able to in Pittsburgh, but we couldn't do it there again just because the size of the clinic has grown so much. You get on a wood floor, and I don't know, I assume the floor is wood. We don't want to be on that, so you either got to cover it or work around it. And, we are talking about a medical clinic. And there's a lot of, water and those kinds of things that, a risk of spilling. And you've got to have something that's all, on one floor, so you can't be going up stairways and things like that. And we went to Emporia to try and we looked at a place there. It might have worked, except it was on the second floor. And we can't get all the equipment up. We can't get all the, the lines and those kinds of things that are just required for the infrastructure to be able to work. So finding a venue really is the biggest challenge we have. And in Kansas City, we're actually able to. It was a Walmart building that had been completely gutted. There was no running water. There was heat, but it was kind of the ceiling type heat. Kansas City Community College had bought the building. They were remodeling it. So the construction team that was there basically stopped construction, got it prepared for us to move in. We came in on Thursday, set up, got out on Sunday, and on Monday and Tuesday of the next week they were going in and cutting the floor up, to be able to put all the plumbing and electrical conduits and those kinds of things in the floor. So. That's the biggest challenge. It's just finding a venue that'll work and being able to get reserved and listen.
Any other questions, guys? All right, let's give you a big round of applause.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing some of you in Wichita, and if you see me run around, I've always, I've always got something going on that, stop me and, make me stop and,
I guess I did have one other question. Emily that just walked out the door, she was wanting to volunteer, but she didn't get to before the registration closed. Are you, absolutely not accepting anybody else, or is it possible, if we have one or two other group members that would like to go ahead and tag along, we can include them?
Call me. We'll figure out a way to.
Sure. And I need your address. Can you pass me my pen, Britt? What's a good mailing address for you?
5200 5200 Southwest Huntoon.
How do you spell that?
HUNTOON. Speak up. The zip is 66611.
Thursday. Friday.
Huh?
Wednesday. Really Thursday.
Yeah.
Aren't we leaving?
We leave on Thursday.
At 1.
At 1 o'clock or so, depending on what shift you signed up for. Alrighty.
And join us for dinner on Thursday night.
Yes, we would love to.
Okay.
My mom's actually going to be a dentist coming down from Missouri to volunteer.
Who's that?
Dr. Jane Grove.
Okay.
She goes by No Pain Jane if you run into her.
Okay. Like I said, we've been working with a couple of people from Missouri.
Well,
and
we'll get back till.
Got an email from her.